All right, if you feel like it is hotter than ever outside, which you hear from people all the time, today, this week, you're actually not wrong.
Yeah, Earth's average temperature hit its unofficial record high this week. Millions of Americans under heat advisories nationwide right now, and similar conditions are being reported around the world.
Yeah, get this. The previous warmest global temperature was recorded August 13th, 2016. You see it on your screen, 46 degrees Fahrenheit. That record was broken on Monday, and then again on Tuesday. It held steady on Wednesday at nearly 63 degrees Fahrenheit. CBS News correspondent Manuel Bojorquez joins us now from Miami. What's interesting about where you are, Manny, is that Miami's getting ready for a long stretch of extreme heat. As we're speaking to you, it's 90 degrees almost with 64% humidity outside. How are you and others dealing with that?
Dealing best we can. You know, it really does tell you something when you're talking about the heat in Florida in July being newsworthy, but right. Here we are. It's the third day in a row that a heat advisory has been issued for South Florida. So what does that mean? Yes, even though our temperature reading is in the 90s, the feels like temperature, that heat index is anywhere from 105 to 109, and that's what triggers those heat advisories. So you can see behind me, a lot of people are choosing to cool off. But of course, for people who have to work outside, it's definitely a concern. Warnings about making sure they're drinking enough fluids and that they know the signs of heat stroke or heat exhaustion. If they're feeling lightheaded, dizzy, or if they stop sweating, well, that's going to be a problem. Miami-Dade County has opened up cooling centers. Really what they are is local libraries in many instances where people who do not have good central air conditioning or who are outside and feel like they're, not feeling well, they can go to any of their local libraries and cool off in there.
Well, Manny, global temperatures rising every day, it seems. And just last week, the heat in Texas was recorded as one of the hottest places on Earth. So we know this is going to be a hot summer. Is there anything that people should know or people can do to stay safe?
Most of us know when we're not feeling well, when we're out in the heat. So what many officials are really trying to get people to acknowledge here or to listen to is to look out for vulnerable groups. The elderly, for example. A lot of people have those window AC units as opposed to central air. You want to make sure that you're checking on them. Children also, especially when it comes to transporting them. We hear about those hot car deaths, so tragic and preventable. Just double check every time when you have a child, making sure that you're getting them out of the car. And the other vulnerable population, of course, is pets. I've lived in Arizona. I've now lived in South Florida, where the weather forecast sometimes will include what the temperature is on the asphalt or the blacktop when it's hot like this, because you don't want to walk them at the very hottest part of the day.
It's interesting, Manny, as you mentioned Arizona, because I was visiting family in England last summer when it experienced its hottest temp on record. People there aren't used to air conditioners. People in Arizona very much used to living in the heat. Where you are, though, if people feel as if this will be a new normal, is there infrastructure to support? I mean, there's AC everywhere. You're next to the ocean or the Gulf. How are people expecting to live with this now?
Well, that's the big question, right? So a lot of scientists are looking at this and saying, yes, heat waves happen during the summer. That's nothing new. But they're also looking at patterns. For example, in the 1960s, the amount of days over 90 degrees in Miami-Dade County was a lot different now, a lot more days in the last year that was counted, 2022. And they feel if that is a trend that continues, it's really going to be an issue, that you could have a third of the year here being above 90 degrees. So that raises all kinds of questions about whether it's human-caused climate change, which many scientists say it is, and then what do you do about that? What do you do about making sure that people are able to live in areas that have been inhabited along the beach here and throughout the Orlando area, where you talk about being a bowl there, really no ocean breeze coming through there? What do you do to make sure people stay safe? That's a question that a lot of officials and people will have to grapple with in the coming years if this trend continues.
Manuel Bojorquez braving the heat for us in Miami. Thanks so much.
Yeah, thanks, Manny.
Sure.